We've created a procedural universe, infinite. It's so vast, it's so boundless, it's actually infinite.
The planets are different colors, but the gameplay never evolves beyond walking and mining.
It's an unimaginably huge open universe that invites exploration, but one where nothing of significance ever happens.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Even IGN gave it a 6. God damn! Procedural generation isn't what you think it is. When you hear procedural generation, you usually think infinite worlds, infinite maps, infinite dungeons. But that is not the whole story. Procedural generation is simply defined as when
content is created quasi-randomly by a computer rather than built by hand by a human.
This isn't constrained to just worlds and levels. For example, Left 4 Dead created a groundbreaking system that procedurally generated enemies. In real time, their engine would spawn enemies in a strategic but randomly chosen location depending on how well you were performing in the game. If you were doing well, it would change their pathing to be more aggressive and even adapt the weather to reduce visibilities of enemies, which is so cool because no matter what skill level you were, the game managed to keep tensions high without making it too hard. Borderlands has procedural weapons. RimWorld has procedural NPCs. Dwarf Fortress is everything procedural? I don't even know. But don't get me wrong. Your traditional procedural generation techniques can really add to a game. Minecraft, Don't Starve, Spelunky. It can be done, but there's a fundamental mistake that was made by No Man's Sky. Kind of. They sold a bajillion copies and have since made the game amazing. But in the beginning, what happened in No Man's Sky and how do we learn from their mistakes and add procedural generation into our game Atrio? Here's the lesson. Procedural generation isn't a game mechanic, it's a tool. The appeal of exploration in games isn't about more worlds or bigger universes, it's about more unique experiences. Let me give you an example. This year's biggest game, Elden Ring. So I'm riding around and I see this giant pot, and I think to myself, man, that thing has gotta be 10 times the size of me. And I think back to all the bosses that were way smaller and still beat my ass. And me, learning my lesson, think, I should fight that. So I jump down and die. And then I follow this cavern all the way until I see this tree. So I cross the tree into our dark cave where I run in the dark past all these bad guys and find an incredible dead end.
Miyazaki!
And after 5 hours of exploring, it turns out you have to go all the way up and around into another biome and down through this forest to this dinky ass little elevator that takes you to this massive underground world that leads you to another elevator. And then you ride through the valley into a lake and then past all these spirit archers until you finally get to an elevator. And then you ride back through the cavern past these giant archers trying to murder you, and finally, after all of that, you can finally ride up and do glorious battle. And you approach, ready for war, and it says to you, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, there's more to this, but the point is, procedural generation can't do that for you. This level of satisfaction for discovering such a crazy handcrafted secret like this just can't be achieved by a computer. But that's not to say procedural generation is useless. Let's say you're creating an incredibly fun game available in early access right now, where you play as a very disposable android. And the only way to survive is to automate everything. You automate farming, you automate foraging, you automate crafting, and even assimilate creatures into your production lines during your possible mission to relight the world. And you need to create a map that's both unique for exploring, but also has thousands of plants, rocks, environmental pieces for you to harvest and automate. And you could hand place them, but you'd be an idiot because if you ever changed the map, you'd have to redo everything. This is Unity's tile map system. It lets you paint tiles in 1x1 squares onto a grid, but it's so much more than that. The tile map system is smart. Given the right tiles, it can choose which tile to add to create believable chunks of the world. You can paint huge chunks at a time, and it's unbelievably fast at creating wildly detailed environments in a very short amount of time. The best part is, we created a system that spawns items only on specified tiles. So I can paint a map, and with one click of a button, it will automatically generate plants at any density. I can repaint it without having to manually move any objects. All I gotta do is just click that button, and it just regenerates everything on the map. Even our respawners are smart enough to replenish items on tiles that make sense. So when our pickerpals harvest items, the glow plants only grow on the fertile soil tiles. All of this is helping us stay true to our objective to create unique, discoverable experiences, while also giving us the flexibility to change environments without a huge hassle. And my game is just one example of so many cool uses. This was a bit of a short video, so if I missed any cool examples, let me know in the comments. I genuinely love hearing about them. You know I gotta show one last time, our new map and so much more just dropped in our first major update, so go buy Atrio and subscribe. Thanks for watching.